All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Trust the Mics, a Sixer show. Mike Gill, Michael Kasky, Blow Maine, ready to bring you all the latest Sixer news, information going on in the world of the Philadelphia 76ers, who are back tonight as they take on the Orlando Magic. Let's bring MKB into the show. And, of course, we got a good one for you today. MKB, what's up, my man?
What's up, Mike? How you feeling on this Tuesday morning?
Doing all right. Holiday week here. Very busy. I'm on remote for the radio show. I was on remote yesterday. I'm on remote today. I'm on remote tomorrow. I'm calling a football game on Thursday. Saturday, I'm on the radio. Sunday, I'm calling a college game. So no rest for the weary here. What's up with you?
The man has a busy schedule.
You would think the holiday I get a little time off, but we just add dates to the ledger. Sixers got dates tonight, Friday, this week, and then on Sunday they play the Hawks. So a 3-game week here. We're going to dive into some stuff. All right, so where do we want to start? We want to start with Maxey. You want to start with George? Where are you feeling?
I feel like any Sixers conversation this season, Mike, has to start with Tyrese Maxey. He had that obviously 54-point career high game since we last talked, so that seems like a good starting point for us today.
All right, so we talked a little about it. I talked about this over the weekend. I threw down a couple bucks on Maxey for MVP, plus 7,000 is what I got. And while I don't think right now that it's realistic that he's going to win the MVP, he's certainly a guy who has MVP numbers. And if the team can keep winning or win more than they are currently, and other guys don't get to the 65-game threshold, that's what I think will be, because Wembanyama is in trouble. He's already passed Wemby in the MVP odds. So Wemby's a guy that I don't think is going to pace towards 65. Giannis might get in trouble. So that's two guys that he is going to pass over, and that would put him in more realistic range. And if the Sixers can actually, we're going to talk about this a little later, be a real true contender, that would make him a good value pick. I got him at plus 7,000. I wonder if anybody out there is in on that.
That's a good bet, Mike. I like it. And to your point, he's going to benefit, I think, from some guys dropping out of the race. Like you said, Wembanyama's on track to miss a bunch of games. Giannis is currently sidelined. And the fact that Maxey's even in this conversation is crazy. Like, if you look, they have the Kia MVP ladder that they update weekly on NBA.com. He's currently 8th on that for the most recent one. Directly ahead of him, Jalen Johnson in Atlanta, Wembanyama. Then the top 5, Cade Cunningham, Giannis, Luka, SGA, and Jokic, number 1. I mean, those are some powerhouse names, obviously guys that have won it before in Giannis and Jokic and SGA. And the way the MVP talk usually goes, Mike, is it takes a year or two. Like, you have to crack the conversation before you make that leap. Like, how many years was Joel getting talked about, as a fringe MVP candidate, and then like the second place guy, the third place guy, before you finally crack through? I feel like that's usually the way the conversation goes. Like, a player takes a giant leap and gets themselves into that conversation like Maxey has this year. They don't necessarily win the MVP award that year, but then moving forward, they're more in the forefront of the minds of fans and voters and people that make the list. So, like, he's putting himself on a trajectory to potentially be in this MVP conversation year in, year out. Although this year, I think he will fall a little bit short, but he could end up by the end of the season with some injuries. And if he keeps up the production, he could be a top 5 MVP finisher this season, I think, realistically.
Yeah, right now he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He is tied for 5th. It's I'm on the Fanatics book right now. SGA, Jokic, Luka, Giannis, and then Cade Cunningham and Tyrese are both tied at plus 5,000. The Giannis thing's interesting because, will he be able to get to 65? Luka's plus 400. Jokic is plus 150, and SGA. SGA is going to be really tough because he plays every night. They don't usually rest guys there. They are so far and away better than everybody else in terms of, record and where they're going to be. I saw this the other day with the Sixers' loss the other day. The Oklahoma City Thunder now have 3 lottery picks currently. If things continue, like the Sixers could be better or worse, who knows, but the Sixers owe their pick to Oklahoma City. So they have 3 lottery picks still to come in this draft, which is supposed to be like a historically very good draft.
Yeah, Mike, I think some Sixers fans might have forgot that because it was such a big topic of conversation last season. Like, would the Sixers keep their lottery pick or would it shift over to OKC? And luckily, things don't seem to be going quite as poorly for the Sixers this year as they did last year. So, like, the lottery and the draft, especially at this early point in the season, isn't necessarily a topic of conversation. But moving forward, like, that's a big deal unless this is like a top lottery pick, which obviously it doesn't seem like the Sixers are going to get this year. That pick's transferring to Oklahoma City, so there's no, infusion of young talent in the first round lined up for Philly, and the rich kids keep getting richer in Oklahoma City. It seems like
they are 17-1. They've won 9 games in a row, and they have 3 lottery picks in one of the deepest drafts that I can remember. I tweeted the other day jokingly that I can't believe the NBA hasn't sent a Colangelo in there yet to fix that problem.
Seriously.
Like get a Colangelo in there to like completely ruin it.
They're not doing anything. Where's Brian and Jerry at? Adam Silver should have him on speed dial and send him over to Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City's got too good of a plan. Can you go in there and ruin that one too? Like, help us out here, right?
Right.
So I think the Maxey stuff. I want to, we talked a little bit about this last week. Is Maxey a true MVP contender? Top 5. Your point is valid. It might put him on the mantle for next year. I don't think he wins it this year. I mean, he'd have to go bananas. Although we were talking, it might have been me and you, but we might have talked about it on my radio show that, his numbers kind of doing some of the things that only like Russell Westbrook was doing the year that he won MVP. Now, I don't think he's going to average a triple-double like Westbrook did, but with over X amount of points, over X amount of assists, like the way he's trending right now, he's going to have some numbers that would put him in the conversation. So, Maxey, can he really win the MVP? All right, let's dive into Maxey late game. I still think this is a conversation because some of the shortcomings of Maxey are late in the game, and I don't know if that's him. Is he kind of like, does he feel like he has no help? Does he feel like there's no one to defer to? Because he's still taking some like bad shot selections, turning the ball over, like those late game moments for him. That is what could really boost his stock, I think, if he starts to either succeed in those moments or he doesn't have to succeed. Sometimes just defer and not succeed.
Yeah, that's definitely been the toughest part, I think, of Maxey's game this season, Mike. And to me, we did touch on this a little bit on the radio show because I was saying I place a lot of the blame for that on Nick Nurse's lap because I think that we're seeing in the final 5, basically the fourth quarter of games, and the Sixers are playing in a lot of close games, Mike. I think the most in the NBA. It seems like every Sixers game is coming down to the stretch here, the final 5 minutes in clutch situations. And what we're seeing is defenses clamp up, which is what you typically see in these situations. And they're picking Maxey up higher above the 3-point line. They're trapping him. They're doubling him, trying to get the ball out of his hands, trying to make things more difficult. And he's adjusting by trying to just take it one-on-one and play more hero ball. So I do think that there's obviously his approach could be to get off the ball and get it back. But I also think Nick Nurse could just do a better job of figuring out late game sets where maybe you take the ball out of Maxey's hands for a little bit, let him play off ball so it's harder to, dedicate 2 defenders to him. He's an awesome catch and shoot guy. He's awesome off the catch, off the dribble. Get the ball out of his hands a little bit, come up with some sets where it's not basically you're asking him to go ISO from 30 feet at the top of the key on what seems like every possession down the stretch. And it's tough for anybody to do that. And especially a guy that's played, close to 40 minutes already in the game and has taken 30 shots and carried the offense. I feel like that mindset that Maxey has throughout the course of the game where he's such a big factor in the offense kind of carries over into those clutch moments. And he feels like, hey, like this is on me to get it done. I don't think it's a thing that he doesn't trust his teammates, but I feel like more it's kind of like the mindset that builds up over the course of the game. And to me, that's where the coach should come in and be like, hey, when it locks down late in games, these are some sets we can run to get you easier opportunities or to get other guys easier opportunities.
Yeah, see, I agree with a lot of the stuff that you're saying. I also look at, though, they don't really have an established second guy. The second guy every night, it's like VJ one night, Justin Edwards is on a heater the next night. He doesn't have that guy. So I feel like he doesn't know who he can kind of defer to on a nightly basis, where it's like, hey, if Paul George is out there on a heater, or even if he's not, he's still Paul George. If Joel's out there and the attention's on Maxey can draw the attention. He's going to throw a pass to Embiid, and he's going to say, this guy can get the job done. Different from he's dribble, getting into the paint, then backing out, and he's saying, hey, there's Justin Edwards. I don't know. Like, I don't know that he feels that Justin Edwards is consistent enough, or that VJ is consistent enough, or that, Grimes has had some late-game helter-skelter moments. So I feel like if they had – that's where Embiid and George – I know everyone's frustrated with those guys, but I feel like that's where they would be a help, those late-game situations that Maxey can say, I know I can trust those guys in the moment.
Yeah, I feel like George coming back, Mike, is big for that because I agree. And he's a guy, regardless of what we saw from him last year, he's a guy that we know is capable of not only knocking down clutch shots, but generating his own basket in clutch situations, taking advantage of a mismatch of a smaller wing guy in the post, taking a guy off the dribble. Like, he is a guy that Maxey and the Sixers can rely on sometimes down the stretch of games to get them buckets or even to create for others. One thing I've been impressed with Paul George since his return has been his playmaking. I thought he's had, a handful of nice passes in pretty much all of the games that he's played so far, and that's always been a little bit of an underrated aspect of his game. But yeah, I agree. I mean, if this team was at full strength, obviously you have Embiid out there, you have George out there, and all these guys. Sure, there's more options, but the way the team has been structured, you're literally asking Maxey to carry the team for 40 minutes of the game. It's going to be tough for him to kind of switch that mindset in the last 8 minutes when everything's on the line and they're, sending defenders at him. He wants to take it one-on-one. It's tough to blame him, and you hope that, once the team is at full strength, missing Oubre, I think, hurts because he's another guy that can get you some buckets. I do agree that health is a factor there.
Yeah, we still really haven't seen this team play at all. One game at full strength, not one, and
right.
That's just the common theme all the time. One guy who's back at kind of full strength here is Jared McCain. Is he a fit on this roster? Is he a priority for this team? Like, I feel he's a fit because they need someone to take the minutes. Restrict some of Maxey's minutes. He can't keep playing him 40 minutes every night. And you would think McCain would be that guy that where you're not like getting killed offensively. He was a really good offensive guy last year, and he created offense. I thought they used him the other night, and he gave you 15. That's about where he was last year. I'd like to see the shot be more consistent, but that should come. Like, I like him as a fit on this team, but I don't know that they're making him a priority.
It definitely does not seem like it, Mike. That's a great way to put it, and that's been my main takeaway watching the way he's been handled so far this season, getting him minutes, getting him back reacclimated to on-court activity and making him a prominent part of this rotation, at least to this point, has absolutely not seemed like a priority for the Sixers or Nick Nurse. Like, the game on Sunday against the Heat, like you just referenced, that was his best game of the season by far, both in terms of, minutes and production. His first double-digit game, he had 15, knocked down a few threes, and played 28 minutes. But that 28 minutes was by necessity because VJ Edgecombe is not available. Like, if Edgecombe had played his normal 38, 36, whatever he's been playing so far this year, how many minutes would McCain have got? Certainly not as many as he did. So, that was almost out of necessity. I feel like that he got those extra minutes. And when Edgecombe, who will also be out again tonight against Orlando, second straight game, he's already on the injury report, which is a bummer because he's quickly become, one of my favorite players to watch on this team. But so you'd expect McCain to get more minutes tonight, obviously, in Edgecombe's absence. And maybe these games where he's getting added on-court opportunity will help to, give him some confidence and give the coaching staff confidence in him because it, like we said, it just does not seem like they are trying really hard to get him to the level that he was at last season. And part of that, maybe a little bit of that was fool's gold. He was, had a big usage rate on offense when a lot of the other guys were hurt. Sixers didn't have a lot of options. He was a rookie, so people didn't necessarily have the tape on him that they do at this point. Maybe he was, shot a little bit over his means as a rookie. But if you're the Sixers, you still need to see what this guy can do and what he can bring to your team. And so far, they just haven't done that this season.
Yeah, I'm a little like confused on what they want him to be. Do they want him to be instant offense off the bench? Do they want him to just steady the ship? I mean, I think he was a guy last year. You're right. I mean, his usage was up because so many guys were out. So he basically had to be the guy. So it's almost like he's trying to find his place with all the other offensive. It's almost like when George Niang looked at Grimes and was like, next year, dude, you're going to be standing in that corner.
Right.
You're not going to get all these touches. And that's McCain right now. He's back, and he's like, I'm not getting the same touches and looks that I had last year when I was kind of cooking because he wasn't here and he wasn't here and he wasn't here. And now I got to try to find my spot. And I feel like he's trying to figure that out. But I feel that the team could probably help use him better.
100%, Mike. You took the words out of my mouth, and you're going to probably notice a theme in what I'm saying today. I think Nick Nurse could do a better job personally of putting him in situations to score, or at least putting him in situations to succeed. And he acknowledged that as much. It was one of the games recently in the post game when we were down there, and he basically said like the coaching staff could do a better job of putting him in position to, does do what he does best. And I think we saw a little bit more of that in that Heat game. Hopefully we see a little bit more of it moving forward, but get him some down screens, some floppy action, like something where he's coming off the ball, do a quick catch and shoot, or like a 45 cutout, something where he can get the ball moving toward the basket and make some things happen. I just feel like we have not seen enough of that so far this season.
We haven't seen enough of Joel Embiid much this season. He
True.
has been out with the knee. It was the left knee. Now it's the right knee. It's day to day. I think he's questionable as we talk right now for the game tonight.
Yeah, he is.
We are live on Tuesday late morning, so we have not got any official word on Joel, but he was listed as questionable on the injury report.
Yep.
What are the expectations now moving forward? I mean, I had said before the season started about 55 games because you have 15 back-to-back, so he's not going to play in any of those games. So that kind of knocks you 15 games off there. It appears he probably won't get to 50 at this stage.
Yeah, I was going to ask you coming in, Mike, because I remember we had that conversation early in the season about his over-under. If you had a readjusted number, to me, the way it's looking, if he plays in half of this team's games this year, which would be 41 games, I think that's a realistic number by the way this is trending and the way they're handling him. I mean, he's dealing with knee soreness right now, Mike. Knee soreness.
Would you be willing to sit him out till after Christmas and just say, just take the month off and be healthy for 2026?
I would be willing, but the only problem is, and we've seen it before, Mike, that's no guarantee that he's going to be healthy come January. You know what I mean?
True, but as opposed to like, hey, you're going to play Monday. Well, you're not ready for Wednesday, but you'll play on, instead of just hope that you can play a full second half schedule as opposed to 20 minutes tonight, 20 minutes tomorrow, 25 minutes. Take the night off. You're off. If there's just no consistency, then I get it. Trying to throw him into the roster in the second half of the year doesn't make it any better or easier, but maybe you'll get some more consistency over the last 30 games or so.
No, I agree completely, Mike, and that's actually been a beef I've had with the Sixers for a couple of years in the way that he's handled with the injuries of always being day-to-day or questionable or updates of maybe he could be back soon rather than just saying hey, he's on the shelf for 3 weeks. We'll check in then and we'll see how he's doing. And honestly, I think that would be a better approach for the team. I'm not on the roster. I don't know how it is, but to me, I've said this for years. I feel like it has to be kind of difficult to be on the Sixers and have the centerpiece of the team on a nightly basis where you just don't know if he's going to be available up until potentially minutes before the game. They often like to hold it out to be a game time decision. The entire preparation for that game then in the mind of the players, is Joel going to be out there? And he's such a unique player that his availability completely changes the approach. This year the least because they've clearly shifted to it being a Maxey-centric offense where the style of play is based on Maxey. But in years past, Mike, it's been completely Joel. And if he's out there or not, the way they play completely changes. And to me, that's been an issue for years where not knowing.
No, that's the thing. So the offense used to be all centered around Joel. And then if Joel got hurt, the guy who replaces him can't do anything close to what Joel does. So now you're running some offense that you never practiced, you didn't run, you never installed. It's just hey, Joel's not here, so we got to switch. Well, now they installed an offense that is more tailored around Maxey. But in my opinion, it really only is maximized for Maxey if Joel is there.
Yeah.
You can't run DHO pick and roll with Drummond. All that stuff that's set for Maxey, getting him the ball at the top, using screens, it's all predicated on the screener being a factor in the offense. So if you double Maxey, the bounce pass back to Joel, if you have nobody on him, he's going to can that every time. You can't do that with Drummond. So they build an offense for Maxey, but it's more predicated on having Joel as the DHO and screener for him. And that's why, like, Maxey's still cooking, but I think that it could be – you put an offense in that still is very insistent on having Joel a part of it.
Well, that's always going to be the case as long as he's on the roster, Mike. I mean, the talent that he has, it's impossible to completely structure an offense not using his strengths. And I think that's where some of the frustration comes in from a fan perspective and potentially from an organizational perspective. It's like, you're so central to what we do, and it's just the inconsistency and not knowing. I just feel like it's a negative. And Nick Nurse has tried to do his best for 3 seasons now, basically, with not really having a lot of clarity and certainty regarding Embiid's availability in general. And I think it takes a toll. And ultimately, I mean, I think it places a ceiling on this team, not knowing if you're going to have your main guy. No other team really ever has this situation unless it's, like a season-ending injury for a guy. Like, no other team has their best player be such a mystery night in and night out. And I just think it's really tough to win at the highest level like that. We've seen that for a decade now, Mike. And I think this year, ultimately, it's not going to be any different because, like we've both said, they're going to need Joel. They can probably make the playoffs without him, but to make any real noise in the East, they're going to need Joel healthy in the playoffs.
Currently the 7th seed, by the way, 9-7. That would put them in the play-in tournament if the playoffs were to start today. Detroit 15-2, Toronto 13-5. I would say, they had Detroit on the road. That was a shorthanded Detroit team. I don't think that Detroit team's tough. I mean, the Raptors team, I think it's a surprise. They've won 8 in a row. They did beat the Raptors earlier this year. I thought they had a tough day against Miami, but you're shorthanded, a bunch of players. Cleveland's a strong team. New York's a strong team. Atlanta, I think, is exceeding some expectations after, they had some injury. People thought they would be good, and then they had some injury. Now they're starting to play a little. They've won 7 out of 10. So now they have fallen into the 7th spot. I guess one of the questions I would have is there anything missing from this team other than Joel's health and Paul George's health to be a true contender? Is there anything that would make them a true contender this year, or is that not really the big picture of this team this year?
I don't think there's anything that they could realistically do to make themselves a contender, Mike, other than health. Like you said earlier, we haven't seen this team at full health this year. And with the way Maxey's playing, Edgecombe, like if you had Paul George available and you had Joel Embiid available and you knew they were going to be available, there's not a lot of teams in the East that I wouldn't at least give the Sixers a chance with in a series with the way that Maxey's playing. It's just the fact that these guys, you don't know what you're going to get from them, so it's hard to bank on counting on them down the stretch. I don't think there's one trade. The Sixers are pretty strapped, so it's not like there's one move out there. Obviously, I think they could be a little bit bigger in the front court. We saw that in the Miami game when Joel's out there. And Andre Drummond single-handedly has been keeping them as a decent rebounding team. Without him, they would be getting absolutely destroyed on the boards on both sides.
Well, if you remember when we did our worries back in the first pod, that was my biggest worry is where are they going to rebound? And Drummond has far exceeded any expectations that anybody has had for him.
He's been awesome.
But you're right. The rebounding is a massive issue for them.
And to that Sunday game against Miami, it just really stuck out. They had obviously Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware were dominating the offensive glass, dominating the defensive glass. Drummond, I think, had 20 rebounds in that game, and it still felt like
didn't feel like that at all.
Yeah, because he's the only one. Like if he puts up those numbers, and then the rest of the guys, it's tough. So I think honestly, this year, Mike, the best hope is that they have to hope that, like you said, Joel gets healthy down the stretch. Paul George works his way back, and if they have all those guys together, which hasn't happened yet, maybe they could make some noise in the East.
Yeah, it's funny because they play the Heat, who, I don't think people look at like some championship-level team, but here they are. They're good again. The one guy, it's like these teams have these guys that you're just like, we don't have that guy. For years, like it's always been like this role-playing guy that kills you. Well, yeah, when they had P.J. Tucker, but like Hawkes Jr., I feel like whenever he plays the Sixers, he just kills them. He just out hustles them, and he's just all over the place. He's just that guy. And my Lord, the Sixers don't have a guy like that. Guy's just an animal on the boards. Like, where is that guy who just like takes rebounds down and puts a little mustard and ketchup on him and just like enjoys them? Like, they don't have that guy ever on the team. It's just like they just don't have those intangible, and like they do have some intangible guys, but not like Wofford's an intangible kind of guy. I like what he does, but he's not consistent enough.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Got a couple comments. My man Eric, who usually will text me, he hates the coach. He thinks Nurse should be fired. But, I take people who want the coach fired all the time. Like, Brett Brown was the worst. He needed to be fired. And I know Eric likes Brett Brown. Doc Rivers sucked. He needs to be fired. Nick Nurse. Like, every coach in the league can't be terrible. At some point, you have to look at the players and just say they're not good enough, right? Like, but I get it. But Eric chimes in. He's watching on the X platform. McCain and PG should both have the gloves off. No restrictions or anything. We're being way too careful. I think there is something to ask about that. Like, Paul George had surgery in, like, July. Not, like, major reconstructive surgery. Are they being, like, too – I did see a moment the other night where Nurse asked George, like, you okay? And George's like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, are they being too cautious with some of these guys? McCain finally played back-to-back the other night, so that was good to see. McCain's surgery was in, like, December.
Yeah, and the thumb thing, it should not impact the conditioning, obviously. He wasn't able to play in the games, but you're talking about the thumb on his non-shooting hand. It should not be impacting conditioning or, anything like that either.
I would agree. He also adds that VJ has done a great job on the glass in the guard spot. Him not being there hurt them a lot against Miami. That's a good point.
It really stuck out, Eric. I agree. Like, that was the first game of the season he missed. And, he's not lighting up the scoring every night, but he does so many little things. Like you said, the rebounding, the defense from the perimeter spot, the playmaking, like getting to the rim. He's done a lot for this team, and his absence, I think, has been, that first game and again tonight. You notice it when he's not out there, which is a pretty big testament to a rookie player like that.
All right, last thing we're going to dive into is Quentin Grimes and whether or not he's a guy for Sixth Man of the Year, if you want to throw a couple shackles down on him.
I think so, Mike. I mean, he's definitely in that conversation. He's been playing really well. I think he's playing, to me, almost as good as you could ask for, coming off of last year. Obviously, the role was different. He, like we almost talked about with McCain earlier in the year, when they got Grimes after the trade deadline, he kind of took that role that McCain had, where everyone's hurt. You're just going to be the huge piece of the offense. You're going to get the shots. Obviously, that's not the case this year, but I think he's been really good in that six-man role, hit some big shots, playing, a lot of 32 minutes off the bench could be a starter minutes. He's a reserve, but he's playing enough to be a starter. 16.8 points, 4.1 assists, 3.5 rebounds, 46% from the floor, 39% from three. Pretty much all you could ask for him. Shot selection once in a while, a little wonky. He takes a few shots that I probably wouldn't take personally. But overall, I've been impressed with what we got from him. I wasn't as big on him after last season as some players were, just because I thought the role was going to scale back so substantially that I didn't know, how much of an impact he would be able to make. But he's on you're obviously, Mike, in the betting world. If you look at any of the odds books, he's within the top 5 or 6 candidates, I think, on most books in terms of the Sixth Man of the Year. Jaquez on Miami, he just mentioned, AJ Mitchell, Jeremy Grant, Reed Shepherd in Houston, or some of the other names. But I think Grimes is right there, and if he keeps, stays healthy and keeps the production up, he'll be like Maxey. I don't think he'll probably win this award, but he'll be right in the conversation throughout the year if he maintains the production.
Plus 1,600 for Sixth Man of the Year. By the way, Jaquez is the favorite right now. He's plus 280. Reed Shepherd plus 1,100. Jeremy Grant and Quentin Grimes are both third. So he's got just a couple ladders to climb, but if he keeps playing like this, by the way, he does have a no-trade clause. Somebody asked me about trading him. He's got that wonky because he took the qualifying offer, so he's he's got a no-trade clause. I was playing with the trade machine the other day. Bored, you know what I mean?
Great way to kill time.
Right? Who did I hear that there was a swap that they were just like, oh, man, what was it? It was Paul George.
Sixers swap?
Paul George. Oh, for Sabonis.
Paul George and what?
And McCain. Paul George and McCain for Sabonis. I mean, you could flip George and Sabonis because their salaries are the same. I think they both have 3 years left on the deals. If you just wanted to say, hey, I don't know why. I don't know why Sacramento would want Paul George though. I mean, they want to get rid of that team. They don't want to bring in another old guy. That trade makes. When I saw the trade, I said this makes no sense. But I would do that trade in a heartbeat because Sabonis is an animal in the glass.
Yeah, I think that's the type of thing you'll run into with any hypothetical Paul George trade, Mike. I mean, the guy still obviously has 2 years left on that max deal. What team is going to want to bring him in? Yeah. And I don't think the Sixers are really even actively looking to trade him right now, Mike. I mean, they're just bringing him back. They made that investment. Last year was a wash. I think there's still hope in the organization that he can be, not exactly what he was, but still be a productive player here. And even if they wanted to trade him, I don't see a world where, to your point, I mean, maybe including Jared McCain would make the Kings, be slightly intrigued. They could add a young player, but to your point, they're trying to get rid of all these veterans that they already have. Yeah. Bringing another one in doesn't seem to be part of the plan.
Yeah, right now, I mean, you got, and I was laughing at the Sacramento stuff. I just was like, there's no way, but I'd play along because I was like, maybe they have something else that would make – the problem is they wouldn't want Paul George, and then Grimes has a no-trade clause, so that would kind of be out the window. But this could be interesting, and we'll close out on this. Charlotte 4-13, Brooklyn 3-14, Indiana 2-15. The Wizards have lost 14 in a row. They're 1-15. On the Western side, Utah 5-12, Clippers 5-12, Sacramento 5-13. They've actually won 2 in a row. Dallas 5-14, New Orleans 3-15. They've already fired the coach. You're going to see a lot of people flying around these teams trying to pick off some guys. It's going to be an interesting trade season.
Yeah, and we've already seen a lot of the names pop up, Mike. I mean, late last week, a LaMelo Ball report came out that he was looking for a trade. He came
I'll
out.
Take him.
I mean, he came out and refuted it, but a lot of times, you know how that goes. If there's smoke,
although
there's fire.
Would Ball and Maxey fit together?
Probably not.
Yeah,
probably not. They both just need the ball so much in their hands. You know what I mean? I mean, technically, if they both could play off ball. Like they're both good floor spacers and catch and shoot guys, but they both operate just so heavily with the ball in their hands. It's hard to see a world where they could coexist.
Yeah. B Wilkes 39. Appreciate watching on YouTube. Just found you guys. You have a new subscriber. Thank you, B Wilkes 39. Thanks, spread the word. Keep subscribing. By the way, this is like episode 5 or 6. We've gone over 500 subscribers already on Trust the Mics. So keep subscribing. That would be awesome if we can go 500 to 1,000 before the first of the year. I think that's a unrealistic goal, but let's try to get there. 500 to 1,000 before New Year's. We'll see what we can do. Keep subscribing here at Trust the Mics. Michael Kasky-Blomain, MKB, affectionately known. And, of course, I'm Mike Gill. You can listen to me on the radio on 97.3 ESPN. Saturdays, Sundays. This Saturday I'll be on 97.5 from noon to 3. Usually, I was off the air for a while. I was taking a little break from working 6 days, but I'll be back up there more regularly now with the playoffs for football coming. And you can hear MKB on the radio show every once in a while. We'll do a radio hit as well. But keep subscribing, everybody. Appreciate it. Everybody who's been supporting Trust the Mics as this hopefully season gives us more. They got Magic tonight. They beat the Magic the first time. This Magic team had a lot of expectations. They've actually started playing better basketball.
Yeah, I was going to say they've been playing better.
Yeah, they've won 7 out of 10. They are currently tied with Philadelphia. Philly has the tiebreaker over them, so they're 7. Orlando's 8. We were talking about this before. There's 11 teams for 10 spots in the East. Right now, Boston is 10. Last week when we did this, Boston was 11. Guess who's out right now? Milwaukee. They've lost 5 in a row. They are 8-10. So it's going to be an interesting rush to Christmas Day when the NBA season really gets off the ground. All right, any final thoughts, MKB?
I wonder if people in Milwaukee hate Doc Rivers as much as people in Philadelphia did.
He's the worst. He's the worst. He has no idea what he's doing. His roster's not all that good. Especially with Giannis out. That's it's really going to be hard for them to stay afloat without him on the sideline. It's been a fun season, though. I'll tell you. I mean, you got a lot of Detroit, Toronto, Miami, those 3 teams. I don't think anybody really Detroit we knew was coming, but to be where they are right now,
not this good.
Yeah, not this good. How about San Antonio hanging in there without Wemby?
Yeah, man, they're fun to watch. A lot of good young guards too. I mean, Castle's been great, Vasile's been great. Obviously, Fox is back.
You know who's good that no one would have ever predicted?
Who's that?
The Suns.
Yeah.
I mean, that team came out. You would have thought that team was in play for the number 1 pick.
Yeah, they were an afterthought for sure. Lose Kevin Durant, lose Bradley Beal. Yeah, they were an afterthought. Definitely.
Yeah. Minnesota, little disappointing. Warriors have been meh. Memphis right now is 6-12, and they are in the playoffs. So the West has a little bit of a drop towards the bottom.
Yeah, who would have thought, Mike? It's actually the East so far this year that's been better, at least record-wise, and has the teams with the better records further down into the standings.
All right, before we roll, prediction. It's 15-2 Detroit, 17-1 Oklahoma City. If I was to say those two were a different matchup for the finals, are you taking those two, or are you saying somebody different?
It's hard for me to trust the Pistons yet, Mike. Maybe it's like I'm a prisoner of the moment, but they're one of those teams where 15-2 is crazy. I just need to see it a little bit more. Like, it's hard for me to see them going from like a fringe team to immediately jump into the finals. Like the Thunder, there was a couple of years of growing pains in the playoffs. So I do think the Thunder will be there. You called that at the very beginning of the year. 17-1. I mean, are they going to break the record? 73-9, Mike? Is that in jeopardy here this year?
Wouldn't surprise me. That team is loaded. They're better than they were last year. They are everything the Sixers had hoped to be, and
honestly,
more.
Yeah, that was the true process.
All right, let's get out of here. It's Sixers Magic tonight. Friday, the Nets, and then Sunday they play the Hawks. The Hawks are a fun team. The Hawks, saw some reports they're going to try to trade Porzingis, which is interesting because they're a decent team. But we'll see. December 15th is coming, and that will open up a bunch of guys that can get traded in the NBA, so things might start picking up there. So ratings have been good. Games have been fun. It's been fun doing this. All right. Happy Thanksgiving, MKB.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say, Mike, happy Thanksgiving, happy holiday week to all the listeners, everyone. Hope everyone has a nice holiday. Yeah,
and keep subscribing. We appreciate everybody out there. This has been Trust the Mics here on at Trust the Mics and the BFA live stream platform. We'll check you out next week, everybody. Have a good Thanksgiving. See ya.